are back.
Why do you think Jethro here survived?
Why?
I mean, doesn't he look like the kind of guy who'd die first in a horror movie?
True.
He married into the Clarkson family. He didn't possess Clarkson blood, so he had nothing to do with Helena Doman's plan.
The blood purge thing? But if that was all there was to it, then Helena Doman wouldn't have killed anyone but Clarksons, right? Yet a ton of the Clarkson gang members died, along with Sheriff Woods. Doesn't add up.
She did whatever it took to achieve her goals. She'd kill if the plan required it, but killing people outside of the Clarkson family was never a priority. Her ultimate goal was to cut off the Clarkson bloodline. Maybe he was always meant to be an assistant to the goddess of fertility.
What, like a servant?
He was the kind of person who was most in his element when he had someone to serve. Even afterwards, he let Patricia take over the estate, while he became her assistant. As soon as he settled into his role, the townspeople started to respect him. Now they practically revere him, and he's even earned himself a nickname, One-Armed Danny.
So you think his life played out exactly the way Professor R planned it to go? Talk about tragic.
I was so positive. But she isn't here. There is something about this room, though. Agent Jones, what do you think?
Me? I'm not as smart as you. Why are you even asking me?
Are you hiding something?
Of course not. Not at me. Hiding something? Ha! That's a good one. Come on. I got nothing to hide.
100% he's hiding something.
I thought I would find answers in this room. I thought that Patricia would be here, but I was wrong. This room is only filled with photos of people related to the case. Feels like I'm wandering through a heavy mist. Why is Morgan showcasing those women's photos? And that bed. Why did Lise have to die first?
So, the portion we're playing as York, I can only assume takes place before the first game. Because that dude, that tree seller, sapling
What is
salesman,
this?
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
The one who took her in after the incident was Daniel Clarkson, the next in line to succeed the Clarkson family. He's the one that ended up raising her from that point onwards. Isn't fate strange? In the end, two people who were completely unrelated by blood ended up inheriting that house.
Yeah, you're right. But sometimes I wonder, go back far enough, we're all strangers to one another. We're talking countless generations, marriages and birth, you know.
Humans love to deify the rules they create. It's almost like that's been an unwritten law from the very start. If you loved someone from the bottom of your heart, would you ever be able to marry someone else? Or kill for them?
Whoa, what are we talking about?
I never heard of any kind of motive like that in any other murder case. I just keep feeling like we're being fed a story that he made up in his mind.
True. Honestly, without having experienced what that's like, I can't really say what I do. But I'd never try and force love to happen if it didn't seem like it was meant to be. There are 3.5 billion women on this planet. There's got to be more than one specific person who anyone can fall deeply in love with, right?
But what if we were talking about pizza? You just discovered the perfect ultimate pizza, but you aren't allowed to take even a single bite unless you kill someone for the cook.
Have you ever loved someone with all your heart?
What kind of person do you take me for?
That's my line.
This room paints such a bizarre picture, but upon closer look I can see some strange sort of pattern to it all. Was Morgan trying to recreate something? If so, there must be a reason for all of these weird and...
You sure it's okay to press that?
Won't know until we try.
Hey, it's Woodstock. Look, a peace sign. Love and peace, man. Even I can figure out what this is from. It's Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Grateful Dead, and Led Zeppelin. But I shouldn't have to explain it to a music nut like you, right?
That isn't a peace mark. It's upside down. You don't need to be a music nut to see that.
Who says that's the top part? If you're looking from Lisa's head, this is the top part, making it a big, fat...
No,
You're an
this
idiot.
is the ground.
Where's your proof?
The red seeds. Seeds go in the ground, right? That makes this wall the bottom. Lisa's head is clearly at the top. Also, Led Zeppelin never played at Woodstock.
Oh.
Galena Clarkson went to California to become an actress. But things never took off for her, so she eventually returned home. Then she murdered her own daughter and ended up like this. Where did she go wrong?
She did manage to appear in a few movies, right?
Not as any characters with actual names, and never with much clothes on.
So that's the only value they saw in her, huh? Sorry.
It's an everyday occurrence in that world. She was also bullied a lot.
Bullied?
They'd cut up her costumes, her scripts, everywhere she... Then after 3 years of that, her stylist chopped off a chunk of her hair.
Are you kidding?
I did a little investigating. In the end, a self-titled big cheese producer tricked her. She almost ended up going into porn.
Not hard to imagine what would have happened after that.
One witness said that after returning to Le Carré, she refused to use scissors.
That's strange.
What's that?
A hunting trophy. A brown bear. With a dragonfly eye patch.
Why is it smoking a cigar?
It's probably supposed to represent Philip J. Clarkson's body.
And the elk is?
Helena Doman.
So that's why it's got such good taste in fashion. And this one is Galena Clarkson?
Why did he want to line up corpses that were killed in different places, all together in a single room? Red Sea. He's representing a human with a hunting trophy made from an animal. I feel like I'm looking at a piece of modern art done in really bad taste. He was taught how to rule as a child, never confided in anyone, and married for purely political reasons. Then he prospered so much that he became powerful enough to rule an entire town on his own. But in the end, his own child betrayed him. and ended his entire clan in a series of violent deaths. If that was your life, how would you look back on it?
Yeah, beats me. I wasn't born into a rich family, and for what it's worth, I've also never knocked up a young ex-actress. But I guess the one thing we can say is that any good life needs balance. Get too hung up on one thing, and you lose sight of everything else. And if you betray someone thinks they can step all over people and then live out the rest of their life in peace, we always get to see how those people end up in our line of work. In the end, they die horrible deaths. That is why pizza is the only thing I trust. Pizza never betrays you.
When Helena Doman returned home, someone must have let her inside.
You think that was her brother-in-law, Daniel?
I don't know.
Well, alligators did chomp his arm off. He probably had it in for old man PJ too. But, you know, I don't think he had anything to do with this.
Why not?
You're making it out to be more complicated than it really is. That's always the problem with people like you. Too smart for your own good.
Just get to the point.
Professor R marched straight through the front door to the mansion. She arrived right at her destination using the quickest route possible without having to undergo a single security check.
I know. My question...
Because she's family. It doesn't matter if PJ disowned her. He never stopped loving his son. A father would never abandon his child, no matter how much they failed to fulfill his expectations. That's what being a parent is all about.
He has a point.
Don't look at me like that. I know, I don't, but I have a father. He's still back in my hometown, managing the printing plant my grandfather started. He'll be turning 80 soon. He wanted me to take over the place, but I know how this whole thing works. Even though I haven't seen him in forever, the minute I go home,
She planned a string of murders all in order to restore the Clarksons to their former glory, right?
yeah, matches up with the files, too.
But the only proof of that is the confession she privately gave to Morgan. Galena Clarkson was also murdered immediately after she confessed. Don't you think it's all a little too convenient?
Well, story-wise, yeah.
And the sacrifices. None of the FBI's official records contain an example of an actual human sacrifice. Aside from the cases that Francis Zach Morgan handled, that is.
There are tons of examples of animal sacrifice, though. And remember the witch hunts back in the Middle Ages?
Meaning?
Meaning, there are always exceptions to the rule. And Morgan alluded to the existence of some sort of journal, right? I think he said he read it in Professor R's lab. If we could find that, maybe this would all become easier to swallow.
The report didn't mention anything about a journal, and if it truly did exist, it surely would have been submitted as evidence, unless he tried to cover it up on purpose. Or...
Unless the journal never existed in the first place.
Exactly. This case took place in Lucare, and centered around the Clarksons. Oppressive authority, cross purposes, madness, and love. But Katrina took the truth along with many innocent lives and buried it all at the bottom of the swamp. But there's one truth that can never be washed away. This all started with the death of a young girl. Everyone thinks that the principal thing to the tree is the fruit, but in point of fact, the principal thing to it is the seed. Now I know why Lise Clarkson was murdered first. Lisa's death was Professor R having second thoughts. According to Morgan, her plan was to perform parricide and filicide, then commit suicide. Those were the 3 deaths necessary to complete the ritual, remember? Which means she technically could have killed Patricia first. That would have been the best way to delay any interference from the Clarksons themselves. The reason she didn't kill Patricia first is because Lena was actually following a different plan inside. Perhaps she merely changed her plan as she followed through with it. At some point, new emotions started to take root within her. She had second thoughts about something. And in order to shake those off, she used Galena to kill Lise first, in order to cut off any possible escape. But that only made her plan move ahead quicker than she could have ever imagined. which forced her to rush right up to the end with those misgivings always in the back of her mind.
Huh? Yeah, you lost me. What are you talking about?
In other words, at some point, Helena Doman decided that she wanted to make Patricia the next heir. The blood purge wasn't for the goddess of fertility. It was for their daughter, Patricia.
Wait, are you... Helena knew from the start that Sheriff Woods would die with Candy?
That's the only explanation I can think of.
Huh.
Remember, this is only assuming that everything Morgan told us was true. Until I can trust that man, this is all nothing more than conjecture.
Considering how insane this all is, it sounds perfectly believable to me.
This is a strange game.
Francis Zach Morgan. Remember me? Oh, cat got your tongue. Understood. You know why I'm here, don't you? Surely you must know what this means. To commemorate our reunion, allow me to give you another oracle. The contract, once signed, will last for eternity. But only in the presence of true love. Did you hear that? Good. It's been a while since I felt this. You know, there's hardly anyone in this era who can see me like you can. And they've been dropping like flies since you first came to see me. Breaks my heart. We don't have much time. Do you have any questions for me? Excellent. You pass. You haven't changed, Francis Zach Morgan. But that question isn't for me to answer. Go and see it with your own eyes. Oh, time's up. We'll have to finish this during our next reunion.
Oh, this is bad.
Agent Jones, what is this referring to?
Avery Smith kidnapped Patricia Clarkson and escaped.
Avery Smith? The vault manager? Why would he kidnap Patricia? Tell me what's going on right now.
Well...
Answer me, Jones.
I made a deal with Morgan back when he took me to the bathroom.
What? What?
Morgan said something to me. If we want to find Patricia, we need to look at Avery Smith.
Have you lost your mind?
What he said made sense. Ever since 2005, Avery's been working deep inside that cold storage warehouse. He was also arrested in the past for getting too friendly with Lise Clarkson. And after Katrina, he apparently worked on renovating the warehouse for free. What if that allowed him to freely modify the warehouse as he pleased? That would explain why her body remained missing for 14 whole years. Then, I did a little check and found out that he never went back to work after Christmas vacation ended.
So what? Why would you trust him?
I don't.
All right, and we will see you guys in the next one. See you next time.